On this episode of Paint Society, we're going to review two guns that will be a better fit for a smaller compressor system. We're going to use our RDX to teach us how to blend paint with these guns and also spray a beautiful coat of clear. Can these low pressure guns still give us a factory finish that we would get with other guns? Stay tuned to find out more. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Society, the channel where the learning doesn't stop when the video ends. So on this episode, we're going to go ahead and review these two guns. Now, we have LVLP and we have HVLP. Both are going to be great contenders for your at-home system or in the body shop. Now, for your do-it-yourselfers, you're probably going to want to go and venture out to the LVLP, a low-volume, low-pressure paint gun requiring, obviously, less air from your compressors. If you're like me, when I was younger, a compressor that hooks into 120, which is most of what you guys have in your garage, is only around 30 gallons, not enough to really get around a car. But with an LVLP requiring low volume, you might have a chance of painting a couple more parts. And then we're going to have our HVLP, the ITALCO High Gloss X1. Now, this is a gun I've been looking forward to trying for a long time. HVLP is high volume, so will require a little bit more air, okay, but still having that low pressure, which is good when you're at home or even in the shop, less overspray, you can see what you're doing. So let's go ahead and check them out a little bit more. Now, out of the box, these are fine looking guns, and that's not just because we have the Paint Society logo inscribed on both of the guns. Now, this is the AUARITA right here. Now, both come in a 1.3. You can take a look at the finish. It's got that anti-stick finish, which is really cool, and it feels good in the hand. You're gonna have your fan right here, like most typical guns, and you're gonna have air control right here, okay, and then your fluid. So as far as the gun's concerned, they're pretty straight up. Same here with the gloss. Now, this is the one we're gonna use for the clear. So we have the ITALCO and the AUARITA, and both of them we'll use for base and then for clear. Now, taking a look at this one, is a nice black finish, has that same finish that is easier to clean. You're gonna have your fan here once again, okay? You have about maybe a 3/4 of a turn, and then your fluid, and then your air pressure as well. Now, all guns I'll set standard. When I go into the booth, I'll back out, okay? You don't have to take it so the knob comes off, but you'll hold the trigger just like that. You'll turn in the fluid until I can't turn it anymore. Now I know I'm set it wide open. I'll do just a small turn, and then I'll operate from there. Fan will set at wide open. So let's go into the booth and let's start to see how this thing works. So this is the job. We'll be going ahead and spraying a bumper, and we will be blending paint into this area and re-clearing the whole entire panel. This is the first time using these guns, so I'm really excited to put them to the test and see how they work on a wide range panel right here. All right, so we're ready to spray. We're gonna put down a clear base first to help out with our blending. It's a blending additive. Most paint manufacturers will actually make that in their paint line. Now, with the air on this gun, it just it turns off, okay, one way, and it turns off the other way. So you gotta nail it right in the middle. And then you can adjust your pressure from there. We'll bring it around 17 PSI, maybe 16, around that range. All right, so that clear base went down. Let me show you what we got going on. This is primer right here, blue primer. And then I spotted a dent just a little bit too late. So this is UV primer right here. So we can get the car into the booth. Now you can see this is our blend area. We fixated the car so that the exhaust, okay, is pulling paint this way. We don't want to pull paint this way because we don't want to mess with our front door and our blend. We want it to kind of go back towards the bumper. All right, so we're going to spray our paint on the first coat, and we're going to keep it within here, right within here. We're not going to go too crazy. So I noticed my droplets were a touch too big, so I went ahead and I'm going to bump the pressure up just around 20 psi, and we're going to see how that is. Now when I go to spray this, I like to cock my hand at a slight angle, and I like to let the side of the fan hit the actual panel. I don't really like too much straight up when I'm trying to blend it, so I'll come like here, right here. Okay, just like that. A little bit right here. Now with that first coat, you can see how our blue primer is just about covered, but our lighter primer here, you can still see through. That's the advantage of that color build system. And you can see how smooth it lies. You can see where our blend kind of transitions. Now the reason I put that clear base on is because it's kind of got the same sheen as my base coat, and I can kind of see what my blend's gonna look like beforehand. Okay, it's been 10 minutes since it's been flashing, and it's ready to go. We're probably gonna do around 2.5 coats. We'll see how well it covers. Now, one of the good things about low volume, low pressure is less overspray, making our blends easier to contain and less overspray on the panels that are around it. Once again with our blend, I'm gonna go ahead and cover up this area first. I'll let that flash for a few moments. And now we'll put on that second coat. Remember, I like to keep that angle. That is my type of technique. That just helps the paint go on much smoother. Let's let that flash and pop a coat on the bumper. Now checking it out, it looks like we got enough coverage and we're good to go. I'm gonna put one more coat on just to make sure everything is nice and even. All right, so for the third coat, I'm gonna bring it out to this area, and I'm gonna bring it a little bit more even and keep it underneath this body line right here. And that's it. Leave it alone, it looks good. There's no need to put any more paint on it. It's good enough, it's blended, and we're good to clear. Okay, so it's time for clear. It's been 30 minutes, my base is nice and dry, and I went ahead and I ran a tack cloth over the whole entire surface of the panels. Now, this is going to be the first coat. I'm not looking for full gloss on the first coat. I'm looking to get the paint on the panel, and on a second pass, once it's been flashed, we'll go a little bit slower, a little bit heavier. What I'll do with my first pass is I'll come all the way to here and I'll half it, and then once more I'll half the panel, not stopping in the middle. I don't want to build up this edge. I'm going to run my PSI around 21 and see how that does. But before we spray the panels on the car, let's do a little test on the bumper. We're ready to go, and we have our air set all the way. Now on this gun, it's on or off. Our fluid set to wide open and our fan set to wide open. Let's take a look at what we have. So what we have is actually a really nice, beautiful finish. The droplets are a little bit big, so I'm gonna bring up my air pressure just a little bit to kind of make them a little bit smaller, but I don't want too much air pressure, otherwise I'll just get air and I'll get no paint. Looking pretty good. I'm not too concerned with areas that might be a touch dry. I'll go ahead and connect the dots on the second one and get everything super, super smooth. But I'm pretty impressed so far with the first coat. Now let's go over and let's get that cleared. see how I stopped the paint right here in the middle? I don't want to build up on this edge. Now I'll bring it over the edge in one pass. Now I'll go ahead and finish up this area. So the first pass is done. Now it looks great on camera, but I want to show you some areas that I really keep it light because I don't want to build it up, and I can get it on the second pass. So in this area, it's kind of orange peely. Okay with that. I'm not too worried. I'm gonna get that. And over here on the edge, I don't want to build it up too much, so I kind of stopped just a touch before. I can clear all that up on the second coat. Looks good so far. Now we'll wait about 10 minutes and then we'll hit it up on the second coat. Mixing up that clear, we're ready for the second coat. We're gonna lay it down a touch slower. I'm gonna pop you on top of my head, just kind of watch those passes and just watch the way the paint is applied. Nice and steady, keep it moving, not stopping. Let's get in there and let's roll. All right, so we just finished spraying the clear, and I gotta say, this is one of the nicest jobs that's come out of this booth. It's got great gloss, nice flat OEM texture, just the way I would want it if it was my own car. It looks fantastic. And I will say, with that low volume, low pressure, there is a very minimal amount of overspray in the air. You can really see what you're doing while you're doing it. So I am impressed with that. So we're here the next day, and the color on the car and the shine still looks very glossy. And I gotta say, with the use of the LVLP, we're able to contain that blend. And the HVLP, yeah, it made it a lot easier to paint. It moved a little bit slower. You know, I'm so used to those guns just throwing on the paint. So guys, a great option for you guys if you want to have a smaller system, or if you have no option but to have a smaller system. The LVLP will still spray clear and base, no problem. And if you want to go with the X1 gloss, it's a great gun as well. No complaints here. Evidence, this is my first time spraying any time with these guns at all. So I hope you learned something, and go ahead and check them out and see if these guns will work for you. I'm sure you'll be pretty happy. And in the meantime, guys, if you want to support the channel, get yourself some merch, you go over to paintsociety.bigcartel.com, pick up some stickers, different shirts and different things on that site. But until then, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it, it's just paint. Let's check it out.